There are 7 factors that I consider women and men need to take seriously if we're going to change the world and ensure it's equitable and just for all women and girls. These are building self-esteem for ourselves and others, embracing leadership and women leaders, recognising the power of mentoring, engaging in movement building, being informed and active citizens, practising give and learn as a lifelong commitment, and utilising radical creativity. And of course, it's important to recognise the interrelated and mutually reinforcing nature of these 7 factors. In my own life, I've been given the opportunity to participate in many leadership programs, and all of these have served to expand my perspective on issues and my own sense of responsibility. I've also been fortunate to have time with some inspirational figures and mentors, and in turn, I'm a mentor for young women and men in Australia and overseas. So these 7 factors have played a significant role in my own development too. So to my first point, building self-esteem for ourselves and others. So many studies, including some important recent qualitative research by Oxfam Australia, has shown that issues of self-esteem and self-worth are as vital as literacy and microfinance programs in terms of empowerment. Without addressing self-esteem, we can't go far on the path of political, social, spiritual and economic empowerment and transformation for women. And interestingly, when IWDA held its own focus group sessions with women last year on why they give or why they would give to IWDA, one of the top reasons for doing so was that it gave donors an increased sense of purpose and self-worth. Similar results came from a pilot program we conducted last year called Global Youth Impact, which was designed as a leadership program for young women in schools. This program gave these young women a deep belief in their own worth and in the potential of them in their communities and in the world, thus unleashing their own power to act. In their book, Half the Sky, Turning Oppression into Opportunity for Women and Girls Worldwide, Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Wadun, writers for the New York Times, declared that the global struggle for women's equality is the paramount moral challenge of our era, and they call the current situation gendercide. They cite a woman's belief in herself as being critical to getting out of poverty. In contexts where so many women live with sustained violence, conflict and oppression, it's no wonder why. The stories in Half the Sky bear witness to this. Stories of women such as Mukta Mai, the victim of a Pakistani gang rape, who did the unthinkable for a Muslim village woman. Not only did she expose her assailants, but she incurred the wrath of her country's president, Parvez Musharraf, endured abduction by his henchmen, started a school, and even made an ally of her resentful older brother. And the school remains open to this day. In staging the Asia-Pacific Breakthrough Summit in December last year, IWDA and the other organisations involved, including World Vision and AusAid, ensured that many women from Pacific and Asian countries, as well as from Indigenous and refugee Australia, were able to tell their stories. One woman, Ruth May Teller, who's working with one of IWDA's partner organisations in the Solomon Islands, held the audience spellbound while she told her deeply affecting story at the summit. Ruth came away from this experience feeling affirmed, heard and lifted up. And she's currently in New York, funded as a result of speaking at Breakthrough to tell her story and of the situation facing many Pacific women to a global gathering at the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. So self-esteem counts for a lot and is a prerequisite for empowering women and girls. My second point, embracing leadership and women leaders. The opportunity for women to learn and assume leadership is critical if they are to take their place in every aspect of public and community life. We need to actively seek out and embrace our own opportunities for leadership, as well as for women and girls who are experiencing extreme disadvantage and poverty. This leadership takes many forms. IWDA's program partners are involved in supporting a Karen Young Women's Leadership School, advocacy and human rights training for young women in refugee camps on the Thai-Burma border. In Cambodia, we partner with Bantus Saray to address violence against women through a program designed to enhance women's confidence and safety by changing attitudes and behaviours as well as supporting women who choose to take action in the courts. And Bantasaray's Cow Bank has not only helped women gain economic security, it's provided them with opportunities to assume leadership positions. In Fiji, we partner with Femlink Pacific, which manages a suitcase radio program for young women to learn broadcasting and interviewing skills. In addition, we're supporting a program to get more Pacific women into local government and then hopefully more women into national parliaments. And Femlink Pacific has used its own research and analysis to engage more women in United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, designed to involve more women as peacemakers, peacekeepers and peace builders. We can also do all we can to support women who use their position to speak out for women everywhere. This includes Aung San Suu Kyi, the visionary leader of the Burmese Independence Party, and Arundhati Roy, writer and human rights activist, who's been a tireless advocate for water rights for people around the world, to ensure that women, who bear the main responsibility in many developing countries for provision of water for their families, have near and ready access to water. And the Honourable Mary Robinson, former President of Ireland, who said this week at the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, "Women are not heard, not respected, and not funded." She called for a requirement that 30% of negotiators in all peace processes be women in order for the UN to be involved. A recent UNIFEM study of 10 major peace processes over the last decade found that women were on average 6% of negotiators. So our ability to assume leadership positions, to support women leaders, and to fight for processes that enable and require women's involvement is crucial to shaping a different world for all of us, not just for women. My third point, recognising the power of mentoring. We need to recognise the importance of mentoring in all its diverse forms. It's a powerful means of confidence and skills building, provided with generosity and grace by those with the maturity of experience and emotions to help guide others. One of the reasons that women in Pacific countries have given for not nominating for a position in local government or national parliament, or not renewing a term in office, is because of the isolation and lack of support when working as a councillor or a parliamentarian. The Local Government Women's Association in Australia formed an alliance with its newly formed counterpart in Pacific countries to provide support and mentoring across the region. So seeing what is possible by working with women who've been there provides both learning and empowerment. One of IWDA's programs with Kanta Shakti in Sri Lanka has created a mentoring model for women to learn financial and small business skills and then to join one of the small savings circles that allows them to create their own business while contributing to a communal fund. In such a way, the money also goes to fund the equivalent of social enterprise hubs, which provide childcare support, health clinic access, and schools programs. This highlights the difference between the transactional and transformational. The impact is on the overall quality of women's lives, not just on the number of women and girls who benefit from, say, access to finance or higher school enrolment rate. Because what else is happening in women's lives will determine how much of an impact any specific initiative will have on their overall quality of life. Indeed, research by Professor Sylvia Chant from the London School of Economics has found that opportunities for greater labour force participation and involvement in the formal economy has for many women not been a liberating experience, but rather associated with a growing feminisation of responsibility for both productive and reproductive roles in the family. Professor Chant has found that as women's lives have changed to take on more responsibility for household livelihoods and moving their families out of poverty, there's been little compensating increase in men's sharing of household work. So we need to be aware of the whole context of the way in which women are living their lives to understand what will really make a difference, what kinds of support or infrastructure or policy change may help lighten the burden for women, and indeed how a mentor may help in guiding our own decision-making and direction.